Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the High School Football Preview Show on KXAN Plus. I'm your host, Billy Gates, and we are talking about our KBVO Game of the Week and our KXAN Plus Game of the Week Thursday and Friday. Here to talk about them is the man who's going to be on the call for the KBVO Game of the Week, Roger Wallace. And Roger, we've had some pretty good games on KBVO this whole season. This Thursday night special that we have, I think this one might be in the running for the best one.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one for a while. In fact, I think we're closing with two great regular season matchups. Fortunate somehow the schedule does work out. We're going to be at Gupton Stadium tonight. Vista Ridge and Hutto, and this one has playoff implications, seeding implications. Somebody in that 25 6A district is going to be on the outside looking in. There are basically 5 schools for 4 spots, and especially for Vista Ridge, this is an important ball game. They don't want to lose their 3rd district ball game of the season, and so this one should be fun tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hutto, the Hippos, they're 5-1 in district play. Vista Ridge 4-2. But you look at this Hippos offense, man, and Roger, there's some numbers that just pop off the screen.
Yeah, and they've got a quarterback that gets it started in Caden Stefik, but he has got a lot of weapons, and a guy to look for is a receiver, Jaden Fields, because not only is he a receiver, he's a defensive back, and I know everybody likes to project. Well, this is a young man that has offers from as recently as the last couple of weeks, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, obviously up and down, Power 4, SEC, and Big 12. Might go as a receiver, might go as a safety. As their coach, Eli Reinhardt, told me, a lot of schools are saying, just come here and we'll figure it out. Kind of that Travis Hunter thing.
So, yeah, it kind of seems to be the trend. It's like, listen, just recruit the best possible athlete you can find, and then when you get him in the door, you'll figure out what to do.
Yeah, Stefik over 2,200 yards passing. I mentioned their head coach, Eli Reinhardt. He's a fascinating story. He's got the job at 31.
Yeah.
He was the offensive coordinator at North Crowley. They won the 6A D1 title over Westlake.
Yeah.
And then he also has some ties to Central Texas from Anderson High School. But he's a Michigan native that he's one of those coaches around the country that said, if I want the biggest, I want to go to Texas, and got a sniff at the Texas Coaches Convention and packed up his car and moved from Michigan to Texas. So this is interesting. Vista Ridge, a quarterback switch. We saw them against Bowie. Caden Arnaud, a very dynamic quarterback. He went down in their district opener against Round Rock. Yeah. And Cameron Lasik really hasn't missed a beat for Chad Scott's team.
And that's crazy to think about because, high school football, it's all about depth, right? Like, it's if one guy goes down, like, the season can spiral out of control just because depth issues, because high school kids, you know what I mean? But, I mean, the Lasik kid, he's been playing pretty well for me in kind of relief for Arno.
Yeah, he really has. Yeah. And to think that he was sitting there on the bench ready to go, what a luxury they've had. This is a Vista Ridge team, as I mentioned. They're at the point where if they can get this one, they're pretty solid when you think of getting to the postseason. Yeah. They close with Westwood, so you have to like their chances there. That would put them at 6-2, even 5-3.
Sure.
I think should get them into the postseason. But it's going to be a mad dash to the finish. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, we'll go to the standings here. Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, and Round Rock's sitting there at 4-2, but Round Rock still has Vandergrift, and they have the loss to Hutto. They beat Vista Ridge, and so that's or check that. Yeah, they beat Vista Ridge 30-29. Yeah, and then I think the Hutto matchup was a bit of a surprise as they went to Hutto and got beat as well. So they lost to both of those teams. They have the win over McNeil, so that's their big win in this whole equation, and then still have Vandergrift.
Yeah, so there's this District 25 is jam-packed. It's going to go down to the last week of the season, which is next week. So we're getting down to it, Roger. Like this is kind of the nitty-gritty of high school football. Playoff pictures are starting to come into focus, unless you're in District 25, where it's still anybody's game for 5 teams for 4 spots. Let's go to our full screen here. Here we go. So yeah, Hutto and Vista Ridge at Gupton Stadium tonight, 7 p.m. Hutto coming off that loss to Vandergrift, 44-34, and Vista Ridge thumped Manor 44-10 last week. A couple of matchups I just grabbed off the schedule for Thursday here tonight. Lockhart and Anderson. Anderson's got the chance to stay undefeated in district play there, and then Travis and Northeast. That's just kind of an Austin matchup here that I believe Travis is in a playoff spot for their district, aren't they, Roger?
Well, they're just sitting at 1 win, so they've got some work to do. And Anderson obviously having that magical season, sitting at undefeated. they shouldn't have a lot of trouble with Lockhart. And then
Sure.
they've got the showdown a week from tonight, as we talked about, against a Weiss team that's going to be rested. They don't play this week, so they have a week 10 or their 9th week of games that they're off. So interesting time.
That's a pretty well-timed bye.
Yeah, interesting time to get that open week. But yeah, it should be fun this week and next week.
Yeah.
A couple of other games looking at Liberty Hill and Pflugerville.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Pflugerville's got enough firepower to hang with Liberty Hill, but that should be interesting. And then we're looking down the road to that Liberty Hill Bastrop matchup.
Yep, that should be good. Bastrop's having a tremendous year. Liberty Hill, they're Liberty Hill. So who knows? It's like that old adage: whenever those two teams meet, you got to throw out the record books, all that stuff.
And it's fun with the contrasting styles. Weston
absolutely.
Nielsen's an outstanding quarterback for Bastrop, and then Liberty Hill with that running game with the slot T offense that really can make coaches just pull their hair out.
Oh yeah, no, it's absurd to watch and try to keep track of where the ball is if you don't know what the play is.
That's right.
Alrighty, so that's Thursday. Hutto versus Vista Ridge at 7 p.m. on KBVO tonight. Roger, Keith Moreland, Lee Von Whitaker on the call from Gupton Stadium. So Friday, we've got your Westlake game that we typically have, KXAN Plus and KXAN.com. They're taking on Del Valle. The Shaps, Roger, coming off of that 31-10 loss to Lake Travis in the Battle of the Lakes last week at home. Had the big pomp and circumstance of retiring Drew Brees' number before that game. It was homecoming for Westlake. That to me, having your big rival as your homecoming game, that was a bold move. Usually you want to win homecoming, right?
Longhorns last 2 games have been homecoming on the road. But yes, that was now the flip side is you knew you're going to have a packed stadium, and but what an effort by Lake Travis. I mean the team without a home right now, rolling along undefeated, and Westlake still got Del Valle to contend with. So that district to me, Billy, is fascinating because of the enrollment situation in the D1, D2.
Sure.
And if Bowie gets into the playoffs, then that knocks Westlake into Division 2.
Right.
If Austin High knocks off Bowie again like they did last year, then Westlake bumps up to Division 1.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets interesting in 26-6A with Lake Travis obviously in the driver's seat. And then 25 and 26, those two districts face off against each other in the first round, which can make for some interesting matchups on that first weekend of the playoffs coming up in just 2 weeks.
That is always a fun by-district game, 25 and 26. So the Westlake game, they dropped from number 8 to number 16 in the Dave Campbell's Texas football poll with the loss to Lake Travis. So they're taking on Del Valle. Del Valle trying to find their way in district play at 0-4. 7:30 p.m. at Veterans Stadium out at Del Valle High School. Like we said, Westlake lost to Lake Travis 31-0, and then Del Valle was on the wrong end of a beating with Dripping Springs, and I spelled Springs wrong on that thing, 63-0. I mean, you kind of feel like, it's going to happen again in Del Valle, unfortunately, because Westlake is just that much better.
Yeah, what a way to catch the Chaparrals. You don't catch them off a loss too often. And,
no.
Del Valle just, overmatched. There's no really other way to say it, and that's the bottom line. Westlake, I would imagine Tony Salazar take care of business, and then I don't know how much he would rest guys, but with that game against Dripping Springs, obviously that's a big one down the road, and you want to stay fresh if you're thinking about a several-week run, maybe more than a month run into the postseason. Yeah,
that last game of the season against Dripping Springs, that's going to be a big one for the Shaps. But yeah, if you're Tony Salazar, hopefully you're going to get your starters in for the first half, build up a big lead, get them out of the game, and then let your number 2s and your number 3s take over from there. In a perfect world, but hey, stranger things have happened. So if we go to the standings here, let's see, just real quick. Lake Travis is 4-0 in district play. Dripping Springs, they're at 4-1. Westlake 3-1. Assuming Westlake goes to 4-1 after this game tonight. And then, like we had been talking about earlier, Austin and Bowie, they're playing for that 4th and final playoff spot. Roger, interesting ball game that's going to turn out Friday night between those two teams.
It is, and I'm sure Jeff Abels, Bowie's longtime coach, said all you have to do is think about last year.
Yeah.
Losing that game and not going to the playoffs. Jason Cecil's done a really nice job. Guy's coached at McCallum. He's coached at Conley. Now the head coach at Austin High. And again, they've got a shot if they can pull this off again to get to 500 in district play. So interesting matchup there going forward. And as we get down to it, I'm fired up, Billy. I mean, the weather, football weather
it's
tonight.
perfect. It's crisp.
It's going to be beautiful out at Gupton Stadium. So, yeah, this is a fun time of year.
Perfect. Other matchups Friday night, we mentioned Austin and Bowie. I grabbed a couple from Georgetown here, Rouse and Eastview, Georgetown versus Lake Belton. Roger, any other Friday matchups you're looking forward to?
Yeah, there's a few. If you can, we'll keep it on that graphic for a second. But I think one of them is LBJ Taylor. Now, you would think LBJ the upper hand, but Taylor's had a good year in district play. We'll see if they can somehow hang with the Jaguars. That would give them a chance at getting a piece of the district championship. I said Liberty Hill. I misspoke. Liberty Hill plays Crockett this week.
There we go.
Not Pflugerville. They already beat Pflugerville. So, but yeah, I would say that Taylor LBJ. We haven't talked about the Ducks a lot over the last couple of years. And then the other one you have up there, Rouse and Eastview. Rouse, they're desperate. It's gonna be tough for them to get the postseason if they knock off Eastview, who lost to their in-district, in-stadium rival, in-city rival. Georgetown pretty handily. Lake Belton's in a good spot in that district, regardless of what happens against Georgetown. But you said it. I think the premier game, when you look at that one, is what's going to happen in 26 6A with Austin High and Bowie down at Burger Stadium.
Yeah, no, that's gonna decide who's playing in that by-district game against the 25 champion, basically, or whoever ends up the number one out of when they split the enrollments, which is a fun game we'll probably play next week of who's gonna be Division 1, Division 2.
We need the enrollment. Now the 25 6A is pretty cut and dry. There's not going to be changes depending on who's in and who's out. It's the 26 6A and the Westlake Bowie situation. Would Westlake go Division 1 or drop to Division 2?
All righty. Well, that will do it for this episode of the High School Football Preview Show. Thank you so much for watching. And for Roger Wallace, I'm Billy Gates, and we'll talk to you again very soon.